going on, everybody? Welcome back to Spotlight 39. As you see, we got another familiar face, man. We've been talking quarterbacks for a little while now. We could probably talk about quarterbacks for another long time. But before we get to all that, hit that subscribe button, support these kids, man. Continue to give them the exposure that they deserve. This is a quarterback that you may or may not know about. So before we get into the special young man talent, let's learn about the quarterback trainer, man. Tell us who you are, where you're from. Give us a snapshot for those that might not know.
Yeah, so my name is Baylin Trujillo from Orlando, Florida, quarterback trainer. Travel all across the country. Like I've mentioned in the previous episodes, I put on quarterback camps. I have a big network of coaches that I do camps with, and I obviously train here in Central Florida. We also have a young quarterback right here in my son, Grayson Canes. To remember his name, just turned 2. But man, I've just been blessed to be in this profession for 10 years and train over 34 Division I quarterbacks, over 250 nationwide. That's played college football at all levels. And myself, I got to play at Division I level, got to play at the NAI level, played a couple years professionally in arena, got to live out that dream. But ultimately, my passion is these kids, man, and helping them live out their dreams by the contacts I've built over the last 10 years. And as you see now, I mean, Central Florida is not really known for the quarterback position, but based off the development of these kids, that 26th class kind of changed the mold there, and especially with the addition of those 2 other ones like Will Griffin and Dia Bell. I mean, we're talking. We have 6 of the top 10 quarterbacks in the entire country when you add Noah, Brady, Michael Clayton, Darion Coleman. So, I mean, and then, of course, there's others. Eli Hamrick was also in the state of Florida. Now he's back in North Carolina. So there's so many other 2026 kids that are just here from Central Florida and the state of Florida in general that are really putting this, this on the map. So this kid we're even talking about today, he's from Montana, and he's joining that 2026 class. His name is Jackson Presley. His dad is Brian Presley, who is an actor and screenwriter and producer. And so he reached out to me through social media on Instagram and was watching what I was doing with some of my other top guys here in Central Florida that I just mentioned. And was like, hey, we want to be a part of this. And so they have flown out several times to Orlando. I've also met up with them at Virginia Tech about 2 weeks ago, and it was a great time there. I also went to Arkansas with them. Where his dad actually played. His dad actually played at Arkansas and then went to USC for film. But he's just a solid kid. So he's also in my elite group in that 2026 class that many people don't really know about. Again, the state of Montana doesn't really produce big time recruits. Actually, this is a fact check. He might be the biggest quarterback recruit in the history of Montana. So with that being said, I'm definitely honored to be his quarterback trainer. I love this kid to death. He's a strong Christian kid. Comes from a great family. And they take care of me every time we travel. And, I can't speak any more about this kid. And what we saw last year, he led his team to a state championship. They lost. But just by doing that, he's, again, putting Montana on the map for quarterback play. And he's a 3-star kid who's going to be probably a 4-star here soon. And he's already dropped his top 6 schools. And I'm just, again, blessed to be a part of his journey and his quarterback trainer all the way from Central Florida and impacting kids in Montana.
Man, that's remarkable. And if you watch this, as you're talking, I'm watching this young man, run through these drills, and it's almost like a mirror. Each one of the young men that we've done, the drills are almost the same, right? They're very, very, very similar. And the fluidness of each one of them, I mean, it's remarkable. And the fact that this young man, his parents reached out via social media from across the country, from the cold mountains in Montana to the sunny skies in Central Florida. And as you see, the kids, he's already mirroring those of the elite group. And you said he's a 3-star, top 6. What, if you know off the top of your head, what are the top 6 without me pulling up the Twitter?
Yeah, so he's got Arkansas, who, again, I went on the visit with, Virginia Tech, Boise State, Washington State, Missouri, and I always forget the last one. Oklahoma State.
Okay. So all powerhouse programs in their respect. So, again, fitting into that elite mold. We're going to get to the film. We're going to watch what, a young man in Montana does against, that talent. And then I want to see how your training, kind of goes hand in hand. Walk me through the film, all right?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, Jackson Presley. You know what I love about him, man? He reminds me a lot of Johnny Manziel. He is very freakishly athletic. He's got this swagger to him. He's made for the spotlight. Obviously, his dad is in film, and so that film and cinematography or whatever you want to call it, cinematics or whatever, has been on his self for the entire time he's been playing this game at a young age. So he's made for the big stage and the spotlight, and he plays that way. He's very flashy, and he makes the wow plays. And so when I'm watching his film and breaking him down and training him, I mean, I see all his freakish talents, and he's got a twitch to him. He's got a smooth delivery, but he's just a big time competitor. He kind of reminds me of Darion when it comes to that competitive nature. He's a perfectionist in a way, and he really cares about his craft. But the main thing that sticks out to me again is his ability to do things on the run, whether it's him taking off or him rolling out and being accurate on the run and making plays out of nothing. That just speaks volumes of him as an RPO and dual quarterback. I think again he is a special talent, and I tell all the coaches when I market him about his skill set and what he does best. And I think again, if you want to have a kid that has the wow factor, he's 6'2", 195 pounds, and he can move. He runs like a 4.6 40, but he's faster in game time speed, as you see on this tape. But again, he just makes this game look very easy, and he's very smooth when he plays. I love players that are in full control of the situation and full control over their bodies. He never is out of control. He's always calm, cool, and collected. And when he steps up in the pocket, I mean, it's something nice to see. And again, he creates lanes by his footwork, which we've been really focusing on every time he flies to Orlando. And man, I'm just telling you, there's so much that I love about his game that really speaks the wow factor.
And the wow factor it is, man. Look, soaking up the beautiful skies in Montana, watching, a very different angled highlight reel. Like this is pretty doggone cool, man. And the fact that, this kid, you say he's got that Johnny Manziel as he's doing the Superman. Like, I mean, that was perfect timing. Let's talk about the training though. He's flying to Central Florida. What are you guys focusing on, during these training sessions? And then, give me that bold prediction on how that's going to relate to Friday nights and how he's going to finish the season.
I mean, as you see here, he's a reactive player, which is what I love. That's my favorite to teach because that's what I do. I try to eliminate thinking, and I want you to be more reactive. And so that's what we really focus on in our trainings and just throwing things at him, making sure he makes quick decisions, ball out, reacting on breaks, stuff like that. Because the game is a little bit faster here in Florida. And when he comes here, I got receivers out there in my trainings, and the tempo is a lot faster for him because in Montana, he is the best player on the field. And so when he comes to Florida, he sees the different talent receiving and the speed, right? So just learning how to adapt to that based off, his footwork development, but also just his reactive skills and his timing of that and his anticipation. And we've been really working on that. Also working on more velocity and explosiveness in his lower body. He's got such a pretty delivery and great mechanics. But again, just working on that power, just really ripping it in there and not being so perfectly throwing the ball every time and making it look so nice. I want to see some juice behind that throw. So he's been doing a great job of that. I got to see a lot of that at Virginia Tech this past couple weeks when I went up there with him. And man, I'm really excited to see what he does this year. I think they're going to win a state championship this year. Again, they lost in the state title game last year in a close game where they could have won the game. And man, what something so that I love about this kid again, he's just a genuine dude, but man, he just hates losing, and everything is ruined if he loses, and he just becomes his like in his own self. He's his biggest critic. He is his biggest critic, and I've seen that in my trainings. I've seen that, and when we discuss his film and breaking that down. So he just wants to be the best he can be at every single moment and every single time. Even if he has a really good game, he always focuses on the little things that he messed up on that he could have done better. And I love that when we talk about this quarterback position because it's always easy to forget about the bad things when all you've done is just throw 4 or 5 touchdowns in a game and your night's over by the third quarter and you're just having a great time with your buds. But he's the one that's over there on the iPad looking to see how he's going to do better. And I think that's going to carry a long way to the next level. And I think that's why you see this kid get the offers he's getting, especially from Montana, which, again, doesn't really produce big-time names and big-time recruits at quarterback. So Jackson has definitely set the tone for that. And one of his top schools, Arkansas, where his dad played, Bobby Petrino, he's from Montana. And so there was a connection there, and I was able to put those guys together and do the visit with them several months ago. But it's a really cool story for him. Again, coming from a place like that with the story with his dad and stuff. I just think it's really cool, man. Just the whole thing.
Yeah, no, I mean that is a pretty cool backstory. I personally had no idea about the back end, right? I've just watched the film and just watched a young man from Montana play football, you know, like he's from Florida, like he's from a Texas or California. Like I mean, this guy plays at a high level,
Yeah.
and the fact that he's doing it and getting recruited like he is out of Montana, says everything because kids don't get recruited like that from Montana. I think there was a young man, a
Right.
receiver, if I'm not mistaken, last season. I mean, he ran some crazy 40 time and kind of blew him up and kind of made him. I think he ended up being a high 3 star, low 4 star, depending on the site. But nonetheless, I mean, that was a rarity in itself, right? You might get one or two kids out of the state that are recognizable as far as national exposure, and this is a young man that certainly deserves it. I'm not sure on the timetable when he plans to commit. He's still got plenty of time, obviously, but it's going to be fun to watch how this thing unfolds. Because I could see him fitting in multiple different programs. I mean, you mentioned Virginia Tech, you mentioned Arkansas, Boise State. I mean, those types of programs absolutely fit this young man's wheelhouse. So that's exciting, man. So before we close it out on Jackson, give us something we don't know, man. I enjoy learning a little bit
Yeah.
about this, about these young men off the field, right? Something we can't see on the social media, the Twitter, the huddle. Who is he? What does he represent? What's he enjoy to do? I know college football
Yeah.
is coming out. Is he a video game head? Is he fishing? Whitewater Rapids? I mean, he's got some great things out in Montana.
Yeah, he's definitely an outdoors kid. And I mean, when we went to Virginia Tech, we're on four-wheelers in the middle of mountains, and that was his element. So that's just the type of kid he is. He loves the seasons.
I
He
saw the
loves
picture, man. You had
playing
the
in the.
ATV with the list of quarterbacks. I mean, look,
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
special.
man. I had about five quarterbacks with me at Luke Gaither's farm, and it was awesome, man. A great time. And again, he was, there was a couple times where I'm like, man, this is totally you, and he's like, yes, coach, this is all me. So, he's definitely mountain and hiking and tubing and all that. And what's pretty cool about him, man, he's a Christian kid, so he's very sound in who he is as a young man. He's been raised the right way. He does Bible studies. He always wants to grow in his faith. But the coolest part about him, and I learned this the last time we were all together at Virginia Tech, is his best friends are his sisters. He really loves his sisters and impacting them as the bigger brother. I think that is so cool. And, that not many people can do that or say that. There's sometimes maybe egos in families or there's just completely different interests. But for him, man, he says a good day for him is go train, go perform at a high level on Friday nights, come home and just hang out with his sisters, whether it's playing games, going outside, reading the Bible together, just talking about life. That is crazy. And there's times where his dad said he's on vacation and all he wants to do is get back home or when they're on visits and just hang out with his sisters. And so I just think that speaks volumes on his character and who he is as a young man. And I mean, that's just special. And again, he's built up in a Christian home where his dad just supports the heck out of him and believes in his talent. And now he's trusted me with his development and this process and recruiting, which has been going great. But at the end of the day, man, this kid is just a good kid. And you know what? All my kids that I train, I take pride in that too, man, because I'm their mentor as well. And I'm a big Christian myself, and I don't shy away from my faith in Jesus. And I promote that to the kids that I train. And, chances are if you're sticking around me or you're hanging out with me, you're probably having the same moralistic ideals as myself as well as our faith. So I just can't say anything more about this kid. And again, I think he is a special elite talent. I think he's in my elite group, which is why he's got the big time offers and why I'm going on trips with him to Arkansas, Virginia Tech, and maybe others. But man, I'm just telling you what, Montana has a gift there that they will never forget the name Jackson Presley.
Jackson Presley. I'm not even sure what video is about to come up. I'm not real familiar with this platform, but nonetheless, it's some more stuff of Jackson while we close this thing out. Jackson Presley announces the top six with some big time programs. As we've seen, training wise, Montana to Central Florida, it's a mirror image of these other elite gentlemen that we've already been talking about. Brady Hart, Darion Coleman, Noah Grubbs. I mean, Jackson Presley fits that mold. He fits in that same conversation. So if you enjoy this, if you do, even if you don't, man, act like you do and give these kids the exposure they deserve, especially this young man, Jackson, all the way from Montana. You probably had no idea who he was until you watched this. If you did, kudos to you because I just learned a little bit about this young man, and I'm excited to see what he does. He's a class of 26, so we got a little bit more time, right? We still got another two
Yeah.
two seasons to go to see what this young man is going to do. He's going to get that state championship. So until then, we got more quarterbacks to talk about. So make sure you stay tuned. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Spotlight 39. Follow us on Twitter, X, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all the above, man. Support, support, support. I'm Rob Odie, Spotlight 39. Until next time, I appreciate you guys.